Hey, it's Rich, the Louisiana Hobby Guy. Today we've got the Neje 3 Max laser engraver to review with the A40-640 laser module. You're going to like this one. Stick around, we're about to get started. All right, so I think we have found the, how should I put this? The best laser of 2022 at this point, which is the Neje 3 Max. This is a big laser, well made, well thought out, maybe not, completely polished yet, but just a nice machine. It's got everything that you would want to have in a laser engraver. Unlike all of the other lasers out there, this one will turn on your air assist automatically through Lightburn. It will turn on your smoke extraction automatically, on and off, through the software. It's a big 810 wide by 460 tall, which is almost a yardstick. That's almost 32 inches by about 18 inches. So a really nice size where you can get some quality pieces done. And everything about it, it's got the drag chains, it's got the support for the drag chains. It comes already set up for the air assist. The only thing you have to do is add your own compressor, which they probably should have included a small compressor with it as well. But 2040 extrusion, heavy duty frame on this thing. Dual stepper motors, obviously, because of the size of the expansion of this 32 inches. I mean, it's literally huge. Really nice, polished aluminum corners that fit perfectly. Yeah, it's a little bit rough because they haven't. This is being just brought to market right now. Just came out, so a brand new machine. Hasn't been. All the bugs are not worked out of it yet. Although I didn't find any bugs. There are no bugs that I've found so far. And I've put it through the test, let me tell you. Couple little assembly bugs, okay? Other than that, it really didn't take long, maybe 45 minutes to an hour to assemble it. Just a couple of pieces. Really was only 6 pieces plus the electronics, part of it. So rather than get into all that, I'm going to talk about that as we go in the short video clips. So let me just start running some of those clips, and we'll go from there, and you'll get to see all about it. The build, the way it cuts, the module itself. Oh, let me just one thing about the module. This is the A40640 laser module. In my opinion, I've been saying this for almost a year now, since this module came out. This is the best laser module on the market, bar none. This was the first, what you call 10 watt, and in fact last year when they first came out, they were actually closer to 14 watts, almost the max capacity of a diode, but for some reason they changed that to 10. So last year's model is slightly different than this year's model, but these new ones now are what are the first 10 watt dual diode lasers on the market when they first came out. And I've had one now since the beginning, and you've heard me mention it in my other videos before. This is the best laser module on the market, in my opinion. It is both a long focus and short focus, fixed focus laser module. So how do you figure that one out? The lens on it is adjustable. You can put a screwdriver in and turn the lens. So if you would turn it clockwise all the way in, you'll have a 17 to 20 millimeter long focus laser. If you were to turn it out, you could get as small as a 3 millimeter focus laser. So just depending on where you set it, and of course long focus is going to be for cutting, short focus is going to be for really super fine engraving. I can tell you that anywhere from 2 turns out counterclockwise to all the way in clockwise, so anywhere from 20 millimeters down to about 15 millimeters, it does both really well. So if you find your sweet spot somewhere in there, on my first A4640 it was 17 millimeters. On this one, slightly different. I do have it turned out 1 turn, and I believe I am at no, I have this one all the way in at 20 millimeters. So this one is focusing now at 20 millimeters. All right, so I've got most of this done now. I want to just go over a couple things real quick, and that is this M8 module right here that turns on and off the air assist. There was no place for to mount it where the holes go, so which is kind of strange. But then again, this is a brand new model, and this is preliminary testing on it. So I just used a piece of double-sided tape down there, commercial heavy-duty double-sided tape. One thing that I want to explain here is about these connections. You want to assemble this holder right here along with this bracket over here. You want to assemble these before you put them on. You don't want to put this bracket on first, because you have 3 different brackets that join here at the same place, and I'll try to get a good view of that so you can see it. So this is 1, this is 2, and this one back here is 3. So you want to make sure you do all of that assembly before you do this, unlike what I did where I had to take it all apart again. But this is a big boy. Look at that. Wow. Oh, it takes up half of my 8-foot table, maybe a little more. But anyway, down below is your wiring. So on the right side there, I don't know if you could even see that. I'm trying to zoom in, but this won't zoom while I'm recording for some reason. Anyway, on the right side, the plug on the right is the M8. The plug that's in the middle is the M7. The M8 is the air assist. The M7 is the power on and off switch. And then the last one on the left is the door. Let's see, where is the door? I've gotten rid of it. Here it is. That's the door. This is your power on and off button. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any place to mount this. So I haven't quite figured out how this gets mounted yet. So that's not done. I'm not concerned about an on and off switch anyway, because it's easy enough just to plug it in right here. Kind of strange to have the control board mounted to the X like that. I mean, it travels up and down that Y with all the wiring coming through the drag chain. So it's a little strange, and you definitely want to mount this to a wasteboard because of the length. Look how long that is. If you don't mount this to a wasteboard, it's never going to be square, and it's important that you mount it properly as well. So I started with a mount here in the corner, in this corner, and then I went all the way down to the far corner down there and mounted that one, and got them both square using a regular triangle square. I got them both square, but then you have to be really, really careful when you come to the third corner over here, and you have to get it perfectly square, and you got to get that screw right dead center in the middle, and then you can just, the fourth one is going to be no placement whatsoever. But right now it's stiff as a board and perfectly square. And if you don't get this particular machine perfectly square, you're going to wind up 1 millimeter off on one side is going to be, I don't know, 10 or 12 millimeters off on the other side. So you want to make sure that you have this perfectly square. Take the extra time to make this square. But really, all in all, it was a pretty easy build. And I do like the fact, there are some things like if you look way down here, you'll see that there are 4 wheels. over here instead of 3. You know, normally there's like 3 wheels there. You got 4 wheels riding that extrusion right there. And you'll also notice that the extrusion is not 2020, it's 2040. So on the Y. So you know, they've beefed up the extrusion for you people that are worried about it traveling across. And look at the top. They've also put 2040 up here on the top. Beefy machine, ready to go. I'm ready to do some tests. I've already done a few tests on it, and it's done extremely well, which is what I would expect of the Neje. You know, this is the A4640 module here. All right, so let's talk about the power relay that plugs into the M7. First thing I'm going to do is we need to open this up and see what it looks like on the inside. It's a very basic relay. So here you can see we've got the out, 12 volts out, that goes to the motherboard, and there's the plug that plugs into the M7. Over here we've got the input, and this is the output. So on this side here, you can input either 12 volts, or you can input 110, or whatever you need to input here. This is just a relay switch. So let's say you're going to control your exhaust, and it's a 110 volt fan, or your exhaust and your air compressor, they're 110 volts. The line would come in through here. This would be your black, this would be your white, this would be your green. So this is your line, this is your neutral, and this is your ground right here. This will always be hot. So your hot wire would come in through here and would power these 3 poles. Okay, again, line, neutral, ground. This side would go out to your appliance. So it may go out to, let's say, a power strip or something like that. On this side, it's going to be exactly the same. You're going to have your line, or your black, white, green. Line, neutral, ground. Okay? These will not have any power until Lightburn or your control software tells it to turn on. So when you start the job, this relay will close and supply power across to this side. In the normal state, if you're not using the laser, there'll be no power on this side. But the minute you hit the start button and you start the job, this relay is going to supply power to this side, which goes out to your power switch, your power strip, excuse me. So that's basically how this works in a nutshell. Real easy, real basic electronics. Once you wire it up on both sides, put the cover back on and mount it to your board. And that's about it. All right, so let me go over what I've done here. I've gone ahead and mounted this to the board, which you've already seen. I've got the M8 hooked up. This is the airline hose, which comes down here to the air pump. And I've got it hanging because I don't want it to be quite as noisy. It's a really crappy pump. I'm going to wind up sending that back because it pushes almost no air whatsoever. I have not put on the emergency stop button yet. I don't know where it's supposed to go. There is no place for it to go, so I made it. I 3D printed this little bracket that I put it on, and I'm going to mount it right here in the front, but that's for later. So that is the setup. This is the power, the M7. So I've got my power cord. This goes out and around and over to here, plugs in, comes around, comes up here, and then it comes down over here and plugs into the little compressor right there. You can use the M7 for anything that you want, for fume extraction or you know, air compressor or whatever you want. That's about it. Gonna give it its first run. Now I haven't tested this yet, so I do know that the M8 module works because it scared the heck out of me when I first turned the machine on and ran the first test on it. And it sounds like a sparking. If you have a CO2, you know what I'm talking about. Sounds like something sparking when it turns on. It's a hard switch. But anyway, let's jump back over to the computer and let's take it through its first run. All right, now I've got the Max 3 loaded. I went ahead and put in a wide angle lens camera so we can see this whole 810 millimeters in the wood shop. And I ran a couple of long cables, so right up here on the motherboard, you can see this cable coming in right here. I've disconnected the cable that rides with the X-axis back and forth, and I've plugged in this long cable that comes from in here in the shop. So I've got that hooked up, and the only thing I need to do now is come up here into, I didn't mean to click on it, come up here to the screwdriver and the wrench, the device settings. I'll click on that, and in the G-code, I need to enable the M7 and the M8. So on the start, when the machine starts, I want to have M7 and M8. The M7, M8 are just on switches. Okay, so on and on is what I want to happen. And then in the end G-code, I want M9. So M7, M8 means turn on. M9 means turn off. So that's all I have to do to enable these switches on the control board. And this is telling Lightburn to do this, by the way. So now with the start and the end G-code edited in the settings, I'm just going to say OK. And that's it. Now if I come to the, let's come to the laser tab, and actually let me bring the camera out so you can see this better. I'm going to bring it out here and make it a little bit larger, like that. And let me come over to the Move tab. We'll get a little bit closer to that square that we're going to do. And I have it set very low speed, 1% power, so it's not going to hurt my wasteboard there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be very quiet because it is far away. And I'm going to hit start, and we're going to see if this works. So if you hear the compressor come on, that means that it's going to work. And you ready? Here we go. And I'm sure you heard that come on. Now I went ahead and raised the volume right there so that you could hear it, but it's working perfectly. I really like that. I'm going to do it again just for fun. And you see how nicely that worked out. So the one thing I did do was I raised the speed up a little bit. So I'll put the speed at, let's put it at 12,000 millimeters per minute. And let's see how this reacts to that. So let's take the move. That's pretty good. And I'll move it way down over here. That's pretty good. Let's go to 15. From what I can tell, it looks like this is capable of 20,000. I don't want to put that kind of stress on the machine though. So let's try and move it again. That's pretty fast. Let me scoot this over just a little bit. Move it way up to the corner. And now I'll hit the home button. And I did change the seek rate on the homing speed, so it's a lot faster because you don't want to be way out here and have to wait 5 minutes for it to home. So I did edit that in the machine settings. So you can see how quickly it drives to home now. But yeah, M7, M8 working perfectly. You can see it down here on the board, even though I covered it in the video. This is the power coming in over here from the wall outlet. This is the power going out to the compressor. And it's just that simple. And of course the compressor line comes back in over here and comes up to the M8 switch and through the M8 switch and onto the X rail. Goes up through the drag train and out to the laser. Nice simple design, works perfectly. It reminds me of my CO2. All I have to do is turn the switch on or off. Oh, let me show you that. So if we come to cuts and layers now, and I turn off the air assist, now it will ignore the M7 and M8 command, and I'll show you here. You see how that was totally quiet? Whereas if I put it back on just for comparison, so you see this button right here controls the M7, M8 commands right here. If you have this on, it activates that code. If you have this off, then it does not activate the G code. Yeah, that's about it. Working perfect. I'm so happy. This is going to become my favorite laser for sure. All right, so before we move on, I just wanted to make one more observation about the M7 switch. So the M7, as you know, is the power. It turns on and off the power. You could also, instead of plugging directly into my compressor to turn the compressor on and off, I could have my M7 plugged into a power strip that turns on and off the compressor as well as the air, the exhaust, the air extraction. It's not just limited to turning on and off the compressor. Basically, all it is a switch in your line. So if you put a power strip on there, you can have it turn off any of the other, on and off any of the other accessories that you want to. So that's the good thing about that. It's very much like a CO2 where it automates the process for you. But even the CO2 doesn't turn on the air extraction. So I kind of like that. I think I'm going to put a power strip and I'm going to have it turn on the air purifier, which I have an air scrubber in there now. The air scrubber and the compressor at the same time whenever I'm doing, because I always forget to put on the air scrubber till after the job's running and there's smoke coming up in the air. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put it on a power strip and I'm going to have the M7 control the power strip. Okay, so I don't have any thick wood. I don't want to glue wood together. I want it to be one piece. I do have these wood slices that are 11 millimeters, and I don't know what type of wood they are. It's probably a softwood if I were to guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a I'm going to do a cutout of this, and I've got it at 100% power, and let's see, got it on 3 passes for 11 millimeters, and that should be okay, I think. I'm going to give it a shot. And I can already see the laser coming through the bottom, so it's definitely a softwood, as I can see an orange glow on the metal below. I'm sure you can see that too. When that orange turns to white, that's when we'll know that it's going through. Or when it turns to red, I should say. Although that's looking pretty good right there. And unfortunately, I've got my air assist blowing away from my air scrubber. So the air scrubber is not getting all of the smoke. And now I can see it actually hitting the metal frame in some spots. You'll see that as it comes around on the second pass. You see that smoke coming out? Take my glasses off for a second, put them on here. Oh, I missed it. The spot where I should probably keep these on anyway. Okay, it's coming around on the 3rd pass, and it looks like it's all the way through. And I've got another pair of glasses here, my good ones. Let me put those on, and I'll use these red glasses for the camera. And maybe you can see that. I don't know, it's just not going to focus. But you can see that it's coming through there on third pass, or is that the second pass? And I think I should have put that support wood a little further to the left. Now that looks like it's a solid light coming through the bottom. Well, maybe not. Pretty solid. I'd say that's pretty solid light coming through. And that is the third pass done. Let's take a look, see what we got. I feel it moving. And this is where it was up on the wood. And that is a clean cut on 3 passes. And actually, I'm pretty sure that this was cut all the way through on 2. So, nice clean cut. It is perfectly straight, if you see. It's kind of hard to see in the camera. But the walls are perfectly straight, which is where it needs to be. Let me get my micrometer that I just measured it with. And it is... This one is 10.36. 10.36 is this piece of wood. So 10 millimeter wood, cut right through it, 3 passes. That's pretty impressive. Really, really impressive. Nice job. And like I said, the only reason we have that burn spot right there was because it was, you could see it on the wood over here. It was actually cutting through this wood as well. So the heat was coming back. And look how far into this wood it went, as a matter of fact. About 2 millimeters in. So, yeah, pretty impressive cut for the Neje. Exactly what I was expecting, though. Right down to the wire. I have this going a little too slow. I have it on 140. I forgot to change the speed. It should be on about 180. But that's my mistake. The engraving was done at 7,100. Yeah, that's way too slow for the cut. But that's okay, it's acrylic. Alright, so that's that. I am going to kick on the air extractor, the fume extractor, purifier, whatever you want to call it, just because it still stinks in here. And there is the finished product. I have to wick it now. I'm just going to use my tape method because this piece is so small. So let me use my tape method here. See if we can't get it all. Well, you never get it all in one shot, but Never know. So, there it is. Now I got to get this into some better light because it's almost impossible to see. But there you go. After a little cleanup, I'll take a picture of it and you can see how it came out. But just absolutely beautiful. Did a wonderful job. Just what I expected. Okay, so now we're going to do an image. Let's see how this comes out. I've gone ahead and taken an image off my hard drive. And what I did was I came up here to adjust image and blah, blah, blah. Made it ready for black canvas. So I've got some canvas. I spray painted it white, then I spray painted it black, and now this is my adjustment over here. And all I'm going to do is come up here, and if you'll see here that I have this template that I made. Up, look at the top, Neje Max template. And this is all locked here. You see, you can't do anything with that. It's just a tool path. Shows me where to put everything. And in the bottom here, so I've got 4x4, 5x7, 8x12. These are what I work with, and 12x12. Okay. So this is an 8x10. So I'm going to drop it into the bottom right corner, way up here. Bottom right corner. I don't have to frame or do anything because I've already burned this grid onto the wasteboard. So let's bring out the camera control, and like I said, I'm not gonna frame this at all. The only thing that I'm gonna do now is just hit the start button. I've already positioned my canvas in the spot. You can see the lines where it burned out the grid, and I'm gonna say that everything is okay here. So I'm gonna hit the start button. No big deal. So now my M7 M8 has turned on my my air assist. It's also turned on my air purifier, and it's starting the burn of the canvas now. Now what I did was I put this on at 5800 speed and 25% power, which it might be a little bit too much for this laser. I don't really remember what my other A4640 did canvas at. This might be a little too high, too much power. Maybe I should have done 7,000 on the speed, but time will tell. So as you can see down here in the bottom, I've got a time-lapse camera going. So we're going to let it do its thing now and run this out, and I will bring this time-lapse camera up onto the screen so that you can see it better. And hopefully this is not going to make a fool out of me. Now I don't go onto ImageR, or I don't use the big GIMP and plugin or any of that kind of stuff, only because Lightburn has all of the same tools. So I do this image manipulation myself in Lightburn, and then you know, there's no reason to use anything else or pay 40 bucks for a plugin. Nah. Lightburn does everything. So hopefully this is going to work out. And I'm not going to make a fool of myself. So right now I'm going to bring up this little camera over here in time lapse, and we'll continue on. All right, so it's all done. Let's see. It's hard to see in the light in here how it came out. Oh, that came out nice. As I suspected, it is just a little bit cool, hot. I could have run it a little bit cooler, but I think that looks pretty nice. Let's see if I can get in a little closer. What do you think about that? Beautiful job on the Neje. I can't, that really came out nice. So I'll see if I can get a better picture of it. Alright, so let's see what we got. Cut was perfect. Turn off this light. Let me turn off this noisy fan. And on our cuts and layers, so we did 6,100 for the engraving. And it did a really, really nice job, I think. The cut, we did at, let me take a look, 180 and 100. And that is still a little too strong. So I think I'm going to have to go maybe 200, 220. So that's 159 DPI. I don't do a lot of pictures, but when I do them, I do them in very low DPI. And I'm thinking that came out pretty nice. This is in Jarvis, by the way. So pretty good job on the first picture. So this is going to be the ultimate test of this Neje Max. What I've done is I've got my air compressor hooked up here, and I've opened up an extra 2 valves on it to keep it cool, because I don't want it to get too hot. So I've got 2 different air lines running in there depending on which compressor that I'm using. Right now I'm using the aquarium pump compressor, and I'm getting started on this 810 millimeter. Look at how big that is. Burn of the Last Supper from my brother. So this is 810 by 425, and that is a piece of A-grade Philippine Luan plywood. So hopefully this is going to come out good. I can tell you that the stepper motor is already hot on that. It is about 105 degrees in here. I did open the door over there to the laser shop, so there is some air conditioning coming in, and hopefully that's going to cool it down some. But hopefully this Neje is going to do its job, and we're going to get a nice picture. So far the corner is looking pretty good over here. So that's the corner of the picture frame right there. It seems to be doing a good job so far. This is done in Atkinson at 6,500 speed, and I believe it's 85% power. So we'll see how this comes out. All right, so here we go. This is the final setup. You can see here is the second try at the Last Supper. Came out beautiful. This is the second try. The reason why it's the second try was because the first time the stepper motors just got so hot that it baked. Not only did it bake the timing gear, the timing belt, it also wound up stripping some of the timing belt itself. So I had to replace that belt because it got just too hot in here. It wound up being like 130 degrees on that timing belt, and it's lost some steps, and I lost the first try. But that was my fault for trying to do it on a 105 degree day. I did it the following night on this piece. This new piece over here came out perfectly fine. Okay, so I did find a place for the power button, which is right there, which don't really need at all. You know, you can just unplug the power from right here. Works just as well. Like I said, this is a more for a commercial type setup. You know, if you're going to be doing a lot of production work, and you're going to probably most likely build this into an enclosure where you'll be putting your power switch somewhere on that enclosure. You know, you'll be putting your M7 mounted somewhere on that enclosure. Here you can see, I think I showed you earlier, but the M7 comes down and around, plugs in over here to this one. I have changed the little compressor to a bigger compressor, which works well now. This compressor here plugs into that one, which goes around. This is the M7 over here, if we follow this wire out, you'll see here's the plug. That goes over to that extension bar right there, which goes over to that air extraction system over there. That turns on with the M7 switch, and so does this one over here. So that's, I know it's a little bit confusing. You know, it took me a while to figure out how I'm going to do this. I also have the other compressor down here. So that's why I have two different lines that run in here. One that comes from this one that comes from this one. This one goes down to that one over there. It's a big mess. But yeah, so that's about it. Some of the things that, you know, I just wanted to cover real quickly was, you know, I put these little twist tie holders on here to keep this wire in place. I guess you don't really have to do that, but you know, I just felt better doing it, just to make it, dress it up a little better. I really do like how nicely these, you know, these pieces fit together. And when you get this, there's no timing belt installation at all. The timing belts are installed, and they're both actually very well tensioned, perfectly tensioned. They come perfectly tensioned from the factory. So really this is 6 screws to put it together, one on each corner and one on the top on both sides. And the rest is just mounting all of this stuff up over here. And that one corner over there. So a few plugs. Really was a simple installation. I'm very happy with it. You know, it's got that A4640 module on it, which is, in my opinion, the best in the market. And this is just a one that I designed last year for my other A4640. And I can't get this camera in there, but maybe I can get it. No, sometimes it'll zoom, other times it won't. Today it won't. Can't zoom in this mode. I don't know what the difference is. But anyhow, I designed that one last year, and so I'm using that one now on this particular one. I have a couple of them. These air assists you can get anywhere on Thingiverse. There's a whole bunch of them. You know, so real easy to use. And you know, I don't know what else to say about it. This is definitely one of my favorite lasers ever. You know, it didn't have a single problem setting it up with Lightburn. So, you know, I put in the dimensions, I hit connect, and it was connected. So, I think that's enough to say about it. I've gone a little too far in this review to begin with. So, and it's gotten a little out of hand because my videos are going in all different directions. I shot them all at different times. So let's wrap all this up now. All right, so there you go. What else can I say? This is my favorite laser by far out of any laser. I love the accuracy. I love the size. I love the speed. I love the engraving, the fine engraving that it does. I love the way it cuts. Just everything about it is a plus. You know, the A4640 is something I've had for a year that I've talked about over and over again. What a great laser module it is. It was the first dual diode module to hit the market. Everybody else followed along after that. It was the first and the best. It's still the best. So very little cleaning too is something else on this. And something about another one too, the LC40, which I'm going to be doing next. Just the way that the module is set up now with my custom 3D printed air assist nozzle on it. It blows, everything comes out at an angle down, so nothing can go back up into the lens. Don't ever have to clean the lens with that air assist on unless you don't use the air assist, which I always have the air assist on, whether it's low or high, one or the other. So you know, I've cleaned the other lens. You know, I have two other A4640s. One of them I just sold to a friend of mine, Ronnie, with the worldwide wood turners, and I have another one that I've used in production for I guess about 4, 5, 6 months, something like that. That one was never cleaned because I have that air assist nozzle on there. I can open that up right now and show it to you. It looks as clean as the day it was new. So yeah, so here's some of the results from this one, which you've already seen. It's my little Navy coin. So got that. This is my over 10 millimeter wood. I did another little cut on the top, as you see there. So all the same. Now this last cut, so this first one I did, I think at 180, 100, something like that. This top one here I did at 200, 200, 100, and it cut through the 10 millimeter. So okay, that one's done. I did a quick tile. Didn't come out great. I didn't really prepare it properly, but of course I did my step gauge, which I designed and cut. Was one of the first things that I did. And you saw now this is Pat Pong, by the way. If you haven't heard of this is a street bazaar in Bangkok, and it's a really cool place to be on just about any night of the week. It goes on forever from the main street. It cuts down and goes on forever, and anything you can possibly want to buy is on this side street. There are bars, there's food, there's everything you can imagine, and anything that you'd want to buy is on this street. And in fact, we had just finished eating. Right in front of here was a street vendor selling chicken, barbecued chicken, right there on the street, and it was just fabulous. So just in case you didn't know what that was, this is a night bazaar. Opens up at night. Okay, so that's about it. What can I say? If you want a nice machine, let's talk about price. Oh my goodness, you know what? I didn't talk about price. So the price on this, and I'm gonna have to look this up, because I believe it's some ridiculous price. Yeah, they've got it right now for $629. Okay, and that's let's see, a $70 Prime savings, it says. So if you're a Prime member, now $629, and then there's a coupon there on the Amazon page where you save an extra $35 when you apply the coupon. So it's under $600 for this laser. So now, this is not something where someone's put some lipstick on a pig and you still have a pig, if you know what I'm talking about, because there are lasers like that out there. This is a machine that works. This is going to be a workhorse. It's going to be a work dog. It's going to do what you want it to do. It's under $600, and it has more options than any other diode laser on the market. Think about that for a minute. It has more options, more functions than any other diode laser on the market today. So that says something right there. No inflated price. It's not $1,000 for a diode laser. Are you out of your mind? No, it's not $1,000. It's not $900. It's not $800. You just got to be crazy. Some of these companies are just crazy marketing, and they think that marketing will determine the price. Well, I guess it does, because so many people are falling for that. But the fact of the matter is, this one comes in under $600 on Amazon. And I haven't even gone on to Neje's site yet, but they do have a page, the Neje Wiki, that's got everything you could possibly imagine on there. Now, don't use the instructions that come with this in the box. Go on to the Neje Wiki website. There's a link in the instructions that come with it. And go on that Neje Wiki. There are a couple videos on there. It's going to tell you all about the assembly process, how to put the parts together. Really nothing to it's all common sense. And everything is in this video, you know, as far as wiring the M7 and using the M8 and what the codes are to put into Laser Gerbil or Lightburn or whatever you're going to use. So really that's about it. Under $600, folks, and you're going to get the most advanced diode laser on the market today for under $600. So I think that sums it up, says it all, and I probably spent way too much time on this video, and I'm sorry about that, but I've done this in several different clips. I'm doing this one and another one at the same time, sort of losing my place, maybe losing my mind, who knows. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope it brought you some information that you may not get elsewhere. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And you know, we just passed 20,000 subscribers, which I really can't believe that, you know, the channel's grown that big. But I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate all of the subs. I appreciate all the likes, all the comments. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I will see you in the next one.